Hello, the youth of India. Good evening. You are welcome in the soap biology classes for class 9th of ICSE. The producer is Vidyarthi Pratibha Utsav program, Director Mr. Pankaj Tiwari, Technical Support Raj Nandini, and myself resource person Dr.Agam Dayal. Do you know how the plants marry each other? Marriage also takes place in plants and they also reproduce. How? It is a very interesting phenomenon, and for this, in plants there is a part below the soil called root and a part above the soil called shoot having the leaves. Some of these leaves modify to form flower. Flower has some supporting structures, beautiful petals, sepals, and the reproductive organs. Male organ is called androecium, containing a filamentous structure and two anther lobes containing 4 pollen sacs, producing male gamete or pollen. The female sex organ contains gynoecium, which contains a stigma, a filamentous style, and then ovary at the bottom containing ovules. There are two possibilities. Either in same flower both male and female sex organs are present together. That type of flower is called bisexual or hermaphrodite. There is another possibility that in some of the plants the flowers may have male flower having male organs separately and female flower having female organs separately. That is called unisexual. And this unisexual can have further two possibilities. Either both male and female flowers grow on the same plant. This condition is called monoecious. Second condition is that both male and female flowers develop on two different individuals. For example, in papaya, that is called dioecious. Now, there are two possibilities. One, the self-pollination, in which anther from the same plant falls on the stigma of flower of same plant. It is called self-pollination. Self-pollination may be of two types. One is autogamy, in which in a bisexual flower both anther lobes and stigma are present very close to each other, and pollen grains developing from anther lobes fall on the stigma. It is called autogamy. The second condition is that, of course, it is also self-pollination, but here the plant is unisexual and monoecious. Male and female flowers are separate but growing on the same plant. So the pollen from anther lobes come to fall on the stigma of another flower present on the same plant. It is called ditonogamy. Third possibility is in which male and female flowers are present on two different individuals of same species, and pollen grain from the anther lobe of one plant goes to the stigma of the flower of another plant of the same species. It is called cross-pollination. But for cross-pollination, who will carry this pollen to the stigma? There are many possibilities. Either the insects carry this pollen from one flower to the stigma of the another flower, because sometimes the insects visit for eating nectar of a flower, and in that case, if pollen grains attach on their body part, when they reach another flower for nectar sucking, then the pollen grains attached on their body parts, they can stick with this stigma. Second possibility is that sometimes Wind also plays this part for carrying the pollen grains from one flower to the another. There is a possibility for insect pollination, entomophily. The flowers are very bright colored petals. They have scent, they have nectar, and they are having this open type of flower. Then for wind pollination, anemophilous pollination, what happens? The pollens are very small, the anther lobes are just spread out. They are versatile anther. So by even a small push of the wind current, they can split and they can pass by the wind to the stigma of the another flower. In aquatic plants, some water also takes part in transfer of pollen grains. There are male flowers containing the stamens, the anther lobes. They have same specific gravity as that of water, so they float just on the water surface. They do not sink in the bottom, and whenever they get an opportunity, they can come to attach with the stigma of another female flower. Sometimes some birds also take part in this cross-pollination, which is called ornithophily. In Rafflesia, the largest flower, elephant takes part in transfer of pollen grains. You can ask, what is the benefit of studying all these paraphernalia? Because by studying all this process, human being can also attempt to transfer pollen of one flower to the stigma of another flower experimentally. That is called artificial pollination. So some of the plant breeders, human beings, perform experiments of artificial pollination for developing new varieties, better varieties. Although in self-pollination, there is surety that there is less distance between pollen grains and the stigma. So less amount of energy is utilized in that. It is economically beneficial. But in cross-pollination, there is uncertainty, and whether the pollinating agent will become successful in transferring the pollen grain or not, it is not clear. But one thing, in self-pollination, there is after many generations, the viability goes down and the developing plants become weak, the seeds become weak, and there is no possibility of developing new characters, new varieties. In cross-pollination, although there is a risk and more energy utilized for development of big petals, perfume, nectar, etc., but there is possibility that after cross-pollination, new characters can develop, old, less beneficial characters can be dropped down, and that is more suitable for natural selection. So most of the plants follow the rule of cross-pollination. There are some more technical terms. There is homogamy, where both stamens and stigma mature at the same time. So it favors self-pollination. In dichogamy, the pollen grains and stigma mature at different time. There is heterostyly found in prime rose and oxalis. Of course, the plant flower is hermaphrodite, having both male and female sex organ, but here you can see the length of filament of anther is very small, the length of style is very large, much more, so there is distance in between the two. In another case, what happens, the length of the filament of the anther lobe is much more The style is shorter. Here also the distance is much more, so self-pollination it becomes difficult, cross-pollination takes place. Thank you very much.